Hello and welcome to another special episode of the ExploreVM podcast live from VMworld 2017. I've got another guest, a now newly published author. Melissa, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi everybody, my name is Melissa Palmer. You might know me as VMiss, and I currently have the virtualization plague here at VMworld 2017.
So, as I alluded to, you are now an author.
I am, yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your book?
Sure. So I was approached by John Arashid and Mark Gabrielski, two of the gentlemen that started the IT Architect series. Both very low VCDX numbers. John is number one, and I think Mark was 26, so he's OG, right?
Right.
And they actually reached out to me right before my VCDX defense in November, and they're like, hey, have you ever thought of writing a book? And I'm like, I would love to, but can I talk to you after my defense because I'm defending in a week? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. So I got back to them, we started chatting, and you know, the IT Architect series is really something written for IT architects, right? There's all different books in the works in the series. So one of the other books that came out was a book on risk by David Bear that also just came out. The original book in the series is kind of like, you know, the full VCDX methodology, like how do you think like a VCDX. And the book I wrote, I called The Journey. It's a guidebook for anyone interested in IT architecture. So the whole premise of my book is it's for people who want to be IT architects, who don't want to be IT architects, but want to know what an IT architect does.
Right.
For people that maybe they want to be an IT architect, but they don't know yet.
Right.
And, you know, even for existing architects who just kind of want to get a fresh perspective on some things. So what I wanted to do is kind of say, okay, if you want to be an IT architect, here's what you need to do, right?
Right.
And it's not like the prescriptive guidance because it's different for everybody. The journey is different from everyone. But I broke the book into a couple parts. So the first part is called Before We Go. And it's all about what is an IT architect. It introduces me and I tell you a little bit about my personal story. And there's actually like a deep, dark secret in there. And I don't know if I should reveal it or make people read the book or what.
I would say make them read the book.
So let's just say I wasn't always going to be a virtualization person.
Okay.
And I confess that. And I tell you what originally I was going to do with my life.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it's about what an IT architect does. And it also has like a self-assessment in it. So part of starting this journey, whether you're going to get a VCDX or whether you just want to become an architect, you have to be honest with yourself. You have to take an honest look at yourself and be like, what can I do and what can't I do today? What do I need to learn? What do I need to work on? Pause for a drink because of the plague. I'm sorry.
Oh, absolutely. It's hard to walk out of this conference feeling healthy.
And I just gave a session with Rebecca Fitzhugh too, so I was just talking for a long time.
Yeah,
but so it's about honestly assessing yourself, right? And then the next part of the book is kind of like on our way, and it's about learning how to learn, right? There's all these different ways you can learn material. And then there's these different things you need to know to become an IT architect, right? So obviously you need to know technicals. You need to know compute, network, storage, all that stuff. And if you don't know it, you need to figure out how to get skills in it, right?
Right.
So I talk about different ways of getting skills for the technical areas.
Okay.
But there's a lot of soft skills too, like writing is a big one. Working with procurement, architects don't think about that, but if you design a solution, someone's got to buy it.
Right.
Then there's things like gathering requirements, determining constraints, risks, all that kind of stuff too. So there's all these softer skills that IT architects need. So I talked about some of the softer skills, and again, how to get experience with that.
Okay.
And then another part of my book, mostly the last part, is kind of you're almost there. So you're an IT architect, right? What do you want to do now? How do you want to put those skills into practice? Do you want to change jobs? Do you want to get a certification? Do you want to keep learning something else? Kind of like, what do you want to do next?
Right.
And then I have an appendix with the self-assessment workbook. So I created a workbook for everybody to do their own self-assessment right in the book. I have an IT architecture scenario. Because as we know from Virtual Design Master, not everybody can be an IT architect in their day job, right? So for some people, this might be their first opportunity to like kind of put pen to paper and try to write an architecture. And then I pulled some other IT architects and I came up with like a resources appendix. So kind of like the quick and dirty, how do I get experience here and there kind of guide.
Okay. So you and I are both bloggers and obviously podcasting. What's it like to make the jump to writing a book? I was approached by a publisher last year and I declined.
Really? Why did you decline?
I had a lot going on in my life
That's true.
and I couldn't make the time dedication.
So the cool thing about a book is I don't know that you need to like say like so. For example, I said I wanted this book available for VMworld.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, Paul, I was so close. I literally had to ship these books to like someone's house here in Vegas so I could go pick them up and bring them to the show myself. I was that close.
Yeah.
They came like 2 or 3 days before I did. I was very close.
Okay.
So I started this in January and I was done by Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
And I was very disciplined. Like, I want this book out for VMworld. I want to share this.
Right.
If you're not on such a strict time schedule, you know, you could do it. You can almost write it like a blog. You know what I mean? Write a little bit here and there. When I found myself getting stuck, I would say, all right, you're not getting out of the chair till you write 1,000 words, whether you like it or not. Right? So I would do stuff like that to myself. I do a lot of technical documentation, so I'm used to longer form writing. Yeah. I usually do something called NaNoWriMo. Okay. Which is November's like National Write a Novel Month, so you're supposed to write 50,000 words in 30 days. Right. I've only finished once, but I did finish once, so I've done that. My VCDX was a lot of documentation. So like after writing a VCDX, a book isn't that much of a stretch. Right. So I've always loved to write as long as I can remember. I've always wanted to write a book more so. So when Mark and John approached me, I was like, you know what? I'm ready for this next challenge, and I want to do it.
Good. So
I think you should write one now, too.
It's something I kind of...
Do you have a topic in mind?
Nothing right now. No, when I was approached, it was about revising the first edition of a book about vSphere and diving into that. Uh-huh. And I was like, I don't really have the time to validate what's new and old. So one day probably it feels like something else.
Well, if you ever decide you want to do it retail, I'm happy to kind of point you in the right direction. I'll help you on your book journey too. Excellent.
Which I was going to say I was talked into a little bit, but it's my own decision. I am going to pursue the VCDX certification. My goal is 2019. I've got a lot ahead of me.
You tweeted a goal card, I believe.
Yes, I did.
I handed out at the show.
And I tagged you on that as well. So,
well, you know what? I'm here. Lots of other VCDXs are here. That's one great thing. There were so many VCDXs who were happy to help me. Yeah. And, like, they were saying, like, for years and years. Because, like, this took me a while to get to. Oh, we'll help you. And people came through. They helped me. They mocked me. They reviewed my design, all sorts of stuff. So, I distinctly remember being at VMworld 2014. That was my first VMworld. And I, couldn't even, speak to any of the VCDXs. I was, so in awe. Like, right. I want to be like them when I grow up. Yeah. And now I am. And I've realized all these people, they're so approachable. And they're just there to help.
Oh, yeah. I was at a private function last night, and I would say 50-60% of the attendees were all VCDXs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and of those who weren't, they were like, hey, Paul, come sit down with us. All right, what's going on? They're like, when are you going for the VCDX? I'm like, well, I recently decided I'm going to go for 2019, and what I like about this community, it's so supportive and it's so motivational.
If supportive you mean we're going to shame you into it until you meet your goal and harass you constantly, then yes, we are
that
supportive.
Exists as well. That's, a form of motivation. Everyone motivates differently. But the first thing they said after I said, I'm looking at 2019, they're like, why not sooner? Why not next year? It's like, well, and I justified why not. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to...
You're already practicing justifying your decisions? Very good, very good.
Oh, yeah.
Very good.
But, I've got a lot on my plate, work-related requirements that we need, and I still need the VCAMs. So I still need that stepping stone to get there, and I'm not just going to hammer this all out and then dive right in. I need to pace myself to be able to learn and do it the proper way. Mm-hmm. So... We are looking at, we are at time, so I want to thank you for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Not a problem. Same question I've been asking everybody.
Oh, no.
Actually, I'm going to ask one more question. Any big product announcements that have you excited or anything you're looking forward to at VMworld this year?
I am looking forward to tomorrow's keynote. I believe it's going to be heavily focused on machine learning from what I've read. Okay. So I'm super excited about that. And excellent. I can't tell you any more because I haven't heard the keynote yet.
Perfect. All right. Well, once again, thank you for your time.
Thank you.